morning, everyone, and welcome to our August tips and tricks. My name is Fred Foster. I'm one of the CSMs here at Process Map. And I'm joined today by our monthly tips and tricks crew, Carla Simmons, Dawn Charnan, and Karen Cifuentes. This morning, we're going to be discussing some of the new items that are in our micro release. We'll be going over some items in our App Studio, task and activity management, incident management, learning management, chemical management, and finally, operation profile management. You should all see a Q&A box on the right-hand side of your screen. You're welcome to add any questions in there as we go through the presentation. We'll make sure that we get them all covered by the end. And with that, I am going to hand this over to Carla.
Thank you, Fred. So I'm going to be covering the incident management. Today, I'm going to be covering all incident management features that will affect all users of the module and cannot be turned on or off. So let's get started. If you like your body part widget in our 21.2 release, you're going to love this new update. Currently, the body part widget is great for highlighting injuries of the body part. With this new enhancement, we have taken it a step further, and you will now, with a single click, be able to navigate to manage an incident screen and get to drill down all injuries for the selected body part. Now, when you're in the Managing Incident Screen report, we have added 4 additional options to our SOA grid column. And these are severity, significance level, is this serious injury or has the potential to be serious? If this injury had occurred in a slightly different manner, could it have caused a serious injury or fatality? Under your case management screen, with this new release, you are including the option to make this case recordable regardless of the country or region. With this enhancement, non-U.S. locations can mark an incident as recordable as per local record keeping. Previously, this was reserved for OSHA recordable cases, and now it's available for everyone. The root cause and the root cause column headers are now being renamed to 5 white root cause and root cause respectively. The reason for this change is for the end user to understand the data source. In the root cause column, it is coming from our investigation portion, the 5 why analysis section. And with this, I am going to go ahead and be able to turn it over to Carla.
Thank you so much, Karen. I really have been playing around with that new list screen options, and it's surely bringing a sense of peace into my life. I love that I can see everything just in one place, and I'm definitely a list girl, so it really does help me out with just seeing everything in one area. Now I will be diving into our configurable features for the incident management module. Before I dive in, I do want to advise that these features are available to all users. However, they may not be currently turned on in your production site. So if you're interested in any of them that you see me cover today, please reach out to your customer success manager. They'll be more than happy to enable them for you so you can see them for yourself in your current application. All right, so micro release for incident management. This micro release has brought us the ability to make the reason for not recordable a mandatory field. So as you can see on the slide, again, this is a configurable field. That means it can be turned on or off based on your business needs. However, we found this valuable because many businesses have dedicated users who are responsible for going in and classifying these cases before a certain due date. So from looking at our data, Process Map has realized that our partners are experiencing pain points with users not identifying a reason for non-recordable. As we all know, the reason is very important. To be able to perfect the investigation, to be able to actually stay on track with the user. So this reason can sometimes be needed to be manual or be mandatory. Although some of the answers to the that users may enter here may consist of short little answers like not a fatality or not treated off-site, these simple responses can provide valuable input when investigating an incident. So system administrators will now have the ability to enable a configuration to make this question mandatory, helping to eliminate an extra step in the follow-up process. This way, investigators can get a good idea of the case right up front, saving time and effort. I don't know about the listeners on the call today, but when we're investigating incidents here internally, I love to have as much information as possible to empower us to take the correct actions, right, as quickly and effectively as possible with what we have. Now I can surely be at peace knowing that I have the ability to make this question mandatory. Something else on our operation leaders on the call today that you may enjoy is that I hear that we're struggling with determining the exact date the incident became a recordable. So as part of this new release, we also have that configuration available, and we've allowed you to actually pinpoint that on the slide. So we've been gifted with this new field, if you want to call it. Ladies and gentlemen, we're now able to capture the exact date where the incident became a recordable. This alleviates any frustration or any back and forth on when exactly the incident became a recordable. We're able to capture the date. Before this enhancement, the user would actually have to navigate to the case progression tracking screen to see the last time it was updated. And by that date, they would be able to determine when it was indicated a recordable incident. Now we've removed all of the questions, all that suspicion, or all of the doubt out of the way with this release, and we have added this field to actually capture that information. So this release was small, but it was surely valuable, right? So the next feature I'm going to highlight has been requested time and time again by our users. So in true Process Map fashion, you will ask and we deliver. All right, so as you can see here on the screen, we now have the ability to default the would you like to submit a workers' comp claim question to yes. So if you're sitting online today and you're asking yourself, why is this useful? Well, when an employee is injured, they need to be treated as soon as possible. But did you know that any delay in the claims process can prolong their care? I'm sure you already knew that, DHS managers on the call. But if you didn't, any little step does prolong it. This means that if a manager or supervisor are busy running their operations and going and doing all of the necessary things to keep us safe, and they're not checking their emails right away, they can become a bottleneck. And believe it or not, this happens all the time. I mean, we're on the line, different companies are doing different things where these personnel are being occupied. The supervisor becoming that bottleneck is not something that we want to see. So this release will now allow us to default this question to yes, displaying all of the claims fields, making the user more aware to fill them out. This will equate in more claims data being filled out and less issues with getting the associate treated. If this field looks completely foreign to you, keep in mind that it is based on permissions of whether or not you're allowed to submit claims. So if you're not currently see it, worry not. You may not have the permissions, and it is completely configurable. So if you currently have this question defaulted to no, you do not have to have it as yes. It's simply to help those who need that little push to get this information completed. So if you didn't know that claims could be pushed from the process map system, I definitely urge you to schedule some time with your CSM. They'll be more than happy to go over that with you. We are able to integrate with many TPAs if you don't already have that integration, making your users' lives so much easier. All right. So as you can already see, this release gave back the power to our users. It was packed with many configurable settings, giving system administrators more control. Next, we have the mandatory root cause completion date. All right, so the ability to make the root cause completion date mandatory is huge. This is a feature that has been requested in our council meetings, and we were really able to deliver, which brings me to another important thing that I wanted to bring up today, which is our customer council. We really could not be where we are today without our customers' feedback. This is your product, and we want to hear from you. So if you are interested in joining a customer console for any of our modules, please reach out to us for more information. We will be happy to guide you through the process. The more that you're able to participate, the better off we will all be in the future. The beauty of these features is that they can easily be turned on and off, meaning that you will actually see more data as of today. If you're experiencing a deficit in your data, if you're seeing that you're having an issue with the root cause completion date and people not capturing that there, you are able to just simply reach out to your customer success manager, have that turned on, and run a test trial. See how much more data you get with that field being mandatory. And then you'll be able to see for yourself if this is something that's going to work for your business or if it's something that you may want to pass on. So again, folks, we are all about empowering you to make these decisions. We do give you these configurable settings for you to be able to kind of play with them and see if you like them. But in all, we really want you to take the powers into your hands and be able to configure your system to your liking. Right? Next on the screen, you should see the completion date included on summary screen. So this is also one of my favorites. So before, when you completed the incident investigation details, you did get the check letting you know that you had already completed that section. Well, after this micro release, we've stepped it up a notch. We are now able to capture, the system automatically is capturing the person who completed the section and the date that it was completed. So let's say I'm logged in and I'm completing these sections, or if you assign different responsibilities to each one of these sections, you're able to see who actually went in and completed it. So if Karen goes in and is responsible for completing the investigation, but then Carla goes in and completes the contributing factors in 5Y, you will now be able to differentiate between the both of them and the date that it was actually completed. All right. Last but definitely not least, we have another one from our customer council. Our operation managers wanted to track the activity the employee was doing outside of the employer premises before the incident occurred. Before the upgrade, there was no way to capture whether or not the employee was on duty or not when the incident occurred outside of the company premises. There was also a need to make the address optional, since in some cases we have been advised that that exact address may be unknown to the employee at that time. Now that we're able to capture what activity the employee engaged in at the time of the incident, we're able to actually track that. So for now, the lookups to this field are going to be work-related activities. So these are basically what they're able to answer. So it's work-related activities, commute to or from work, or non-work related activities. In the future, we will be looking into potentially making this field configurable so our users will actually be able to configure a pick list to populate in this field. But in the meantime, this is a great way of capturing if that employee was injured from doing actual work or by a non-work related method. Oh, before I forget, we also took care of that address field. We now have one configuration that makes the address, city, country, and state optional. Okay, so this would be one configuration that's going to make all of these fields either optional or mandatory. So it is a one and done configuration. We can't go field by field as of this time, but you are able to make those non-mandatory. All right, folks. Well, that's a lot to unpack in such a short time. But as you can see, this micro release has brought us many, many options. I would like to now turn it over to Karen to see what's new with the learning management module.
Thank you, Carla. I am very excited about knowing that all our clients are going to be able to configure all this wonderful new enhancements. So now let's just take a look at some of the upgrades that we're going to be having for our LMS module. With this new release, you will now have the ability to display the employee supervisors when you're on the session list screen. With this, you will allow easier filters for your session by filtering by supervisor as well as by consolidating key information for ease of use. With this enhancement, we will be able to see it both in the web and in the mobile. And now I'm going to talk about training effectiveness. You will no longer have to update the training effectiveness field for each employee individually. We have now created an import template that will allow you to do a mass update on the training effectiveness field on the session details, allowing you to streamline the process and gain back some of that valuable time. And thank you. And I'm going to be handing it over to Fred.
Thank you, Karen. That's great stuff coming with learning management. I'm going to go over a couple of features that are coming for App Studio and then a couple that are coming for task management. Starting off with App Studio, we have made a change to the way a custom list is saved. You might have noticed that if you were saving some custom views, they were going to all global users of the system. Well, we've fixed that, so now when you do a save as, it will not be sending it to all global users. You will have the choice. So if you see on the screen, it defaults to the setting where it will share to all global users. But once you type in a new name for the view, for your new view, even though the setting share to all global users is still set to yes, as soon as you hit the save as, it's going to change it over to a no, and this view will no longer be shared with all global users. Now, if you do want to share the view with other users, once it's saved, you can go back in to the view and change the toggle over to share it with all the global users, and then they will all see that view. So that's a change that's coming with the views in our App Studio. The next change that's coming has to do with the date format that's printed on import notifications. For some of you that were on previous tips and tricks, I showed you how we can do data imports into apps in our App Studio. And previously, when the notifications came out, the date was printed in UTC time, which stands for Universal Time Coordinated, which is sort of a new version of Greenwich Mean Time. And that was causing a lot of confusion among folks. So we've made a change on that. So now, when you get your notification that the import is done, the timestamp on the notification will be your local time, and it will match the time that the email notification was sent. And you can see here the differences between the old version and the new version. So those are a couple items that are coming in App Builder. And I'm going to go over a couple that are coming with task management. So we've added a new date filter option to the action item list screen. The new filter is for previous 2 years, the current year, and your current next month. So for example, if the current date is August 9th, if you select the new filter, the date range that will be displayed on the list screen will be from January 1, 2019, 2 years previous, through September 30th, 2021, which is the next month. And you can see here when you go into the Manage View section that we have that view. It's named previous 2 years and current next month. So if you select that, you will have the new date filters on the list screen. We've also added another new feature in task management, which will allow you to put a URL link in the reference citation field for tasks. Previously, you couldn't put a link in, but we have made a change so that now in that reference and citation field, you can put a link into a website, and it is a clickable link so that if somebody goes in there, they can click the link in the action item. You can also display the reference and citation field on your list screen, and when that link is on the list screen, it will also be clickable to go to another web page. Finally, we made a change with how an employee's location is set when they're making a change or transferring. So previously, if an employee or supervisor got transferred to another location, all the action items, both open and closed, transferred with that person to the new location. But we've made a change so that in the new version, closed action items will stay in the original location. And the open action items will transfer to the new location, but the closed action items will stay in the previous one. And this should help with some reporting. So those are the new features that are coming with our App Studio and Task and Activity Management. We do have some new things coming up with chemical management, so I'm going to hand this back over to Carla.
Thank you, Fred. Yay, chemical management. So although this release only gave us one little empowering thing, I did want to make sure to bring it up because it is impactful. So we have added the configuration ability to make the product type mandatory. We have heard a lot of feedback from our clients that they do need that product type to be mandatory. There's a lot of users that aren't filling that field out. So we have brought that configuration to you as part of this release for the chemical management module. So if you're on the call today and you do have chemical management, we are now able to make that product type mandatory so your users can go in there and populate the data that you're looking for the particular chemical. Next, for this release, we have what's in the lab. So Some of you may have already been on a previous tips and tricks where we have displayed our newest and most improved module, which is the operational profile management. Basically what this module does is that it takes a protocol, and that's just a fancy word for a list of questions, and then depending on what you answer those questions, a particular task is going to be assigned to a particular user. So for example, if I am at a facility that has forklifts, so my questionnaire would have something like, do you have forklifts? If I answer yes to that question, then a set of tasks for the facilities that have forklifts, whether it be forklift inspections, trainings, what have you, will be assigned to those locations. So ideally, the workflow would be for each location to fill out their questionnaire, and then the task to go out to those locations, as so long as that those questions are answered with the preferred question, which is usually yes. So if a question is answered yes, shoot out these tasks. There's much more functionality that is coming with this module, and we will be sure to keep you updated as it comes. But I did want to remind everyone that we are still working to perfect it, and we do have this module available in the event that that use case meets your needs. All right. So last but not least, this is the drum roll of this release. So as part of this micro release, we were able to upgrade our mobile SSO to the Okta 2.0. The Okta 2.0 upgrade now includes multi-factor authentication. The multi-factor authentication is going to allow us to add a second layer of verification to ensure that the apps that are being used on company devices are approved and, of course, safe. Some of you may have encountered this while logging into your bank app or even with your company's HR site now. With the multi-factor authentication, and Process Maps wants to promote a safety culture in every aspect of the software, not only in just software, but including software and SSO. So we have added that, and we have upgraded to the new Okta network, and we are on it. So if you haven't done so already, delete your app and download the new one. Excuse me, if you haven't done so already. So please feel free, go in now, go into your mobile devices, delete our old app, download the new one so you can benefit from the multi-factor authentication. Without further ado, we will turn it over to our Q&A to see if we have any questions.
Thanks, Carla. We don't currently have any questions in the Q&A box. So I want to thank everyone for joining us today. We'll be...
Sorry, Fred. And some shout-outs I want to do a quick shout-out to our sister events, the monthly Insight web events that we're hosting. We are going to be upgrading to the new Cognos 11.7 that's scheduled to come out next weekend. You will be seeing more information related to that in the application itself for your users to be able to sign up and get to know the new version of Insight. There is no impact to your reports or how you access your information, but there is a new user interface with some really cool, great things that will help you to visualize your key metrics. I also wanted to mention, as Carla had mentioned on the chemicals management, we're added a new feature there, but I'm not sure if many of you realize that chemicals management is now mobile ready. So our last release we brought in the ability now for your users to be able to access any SDS record directly from a mobile device. So if you're not using the Process Map chemical management module, you should contact your customer success manager. This is a big win in bringing SDS records directly to the employees as and when they're working with hazardous chemicals. And I'd like to thank everybody, and again, our tips and tricks crew for another great release and keeping us informed of all the great features that Process Map is building, and have a wonderful day. Great question. You should be on 21.1.47. They should get a message. It is a forced upgrade, so the user should get a message when they are accessing the app to say, hey, you need to upgrade your app, and they'll go through the upgrade process. In addition, we have been doing Delico or Delico Blast directly in the application. You'll see that Process Map will be leveraging Delico more to communicate events like tips and tricks in our weekly roundtables, Process Safety Institute, as well as keep the users informed about upcoming upgrades, so that they are being prepared for when the upgrade occurs. That is available. It has been published to the App Store and as well as the Play Store. Please contact your customer success manager if you're not seeing that, or open up a ticket with your support team. Okay, well, thank you, everybody, and have a wonderful day.
Thank you, everyone.